When we talk about what we keep near where we sleep, we're not just discussing objects, we're discussing the state of our soul. Islam teaches us that cleanliness is not limited to our outer appearance. It extends deep into our inner world and the spaces we occupy. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Cleanliness is half of faith." That's not just about washing or grooming. It's about creating an environment where peace, purity, and remembrance of Allah can thrive. The area where we rest is one of the most spiritually sensitive places in our home. It's where the mind relaxes, the body rejuvenates, and the soul temporarily departs from this world into the realm of dreams and the unseen. So, if that space is spiritually polluted, it affects not only our rest, but also the very energy of our being. You see, every object, every image, every scent, and every sound has an influence on our subconscious. Psychologists confirm that the environment in which we sleep shapes the quality of our rest, our mood upon waking, and even our mental clarity. Islam recognized this truth over 14 centuries ago. That's why we're encouraged to sleep in a state of wudu, to recite verses of the Quran before closing our eyes, and to ensure that our surroundings are clean and calm. It's not superstition, it's spiritual psychology. When the Prophet advised us to shake our bedding before sleeping, it wasn't only to remove physical impurities, but also to symbolically cleanse our resting space of unseen harm. Imagine this: angels visit the homes of believers. They bring mercy, tranquility, and protection. But these angels, as the Prophet told us, do not enter a home where there are impure things, offensive smells, or images that dishonor the remembrance of Allah. Now think about what that means. If our sleeping space is filled with objects that repel angels, then who or what is taking their place? When light departs, darkness takes over. When Dhikr fades, whispers grow louder. This is why a believer must be intentional about what surrounds them, especially where they sleep. On a deeper level, keeping our sleeping space pure reflects discipline. It's easy to live carelessly, to leave things scattered, to let worldly items pile up around us. But a mindful believer lives with purpose. Even in rest, he remains connected to Allah. This discipline forms part of taqwa, that ever-present awareness of God. A clean space nurtures a clean heart, and a clean heart attracts divine peace. So, when you prepare your bed tonight, don't just tidy your room. Purify your intentions. Make your bedroom a place where angels feel welcome, where your soul can find true rest, and where your heart beats in remembrance of the one who gave you life and will awaken you again. Because the truth is, your sleeping space is not just where your body rests, it's where your soul recharges. Keep it clean, keep it pure, and you'll find that your mornings begin not just with energy, but with barakah. When we close our eyes at night, something profound happens, something far beyond what science alone can explain. Sleep isn't just a biological necessity, it's a spiritual journey. The Quran describes it beautifully. It is Allah who takes away the souls at the time of their death, and those that do not die during their sleep. Then He keeps those for which He has decreed death, and releases the others for an appointed term. Surah Az-Zumar 39:42. That verse tells us something powerful. Every night, our soul is taken into a realm beyond our control. We are temporarily disconnected from the world, suspended between life and death. And when Allah returns our soul, we awaken, grateful, alive, given another chance to do better. Now think about this. If sleep is such a sacred, spiritual state, then the environment we sleep in must reflect that sanctity. We can't expect peace when we sleep surrounded by chaos. We can't expect barakah when our resting place is filled with heedlessness. During sleep, the conscious mind rests, but the heart remains awake in ways we don't fully understand. That's why scholars of the past emphasize the spiritual sensitivity of the night. It's when the unseen world becomes more active, when angels descend and the whispers of shayateen become more daring. Our Prophet Muhammad understood this spiritual reality better than anyone. His nightly routine was not random, it was intentional. He would make wudu, recite Ayat al-Kursi, and the last 3 chapters of the Quran. He would wipe his hands over his body, seeking protection from harm. Why? Because he knew that as the body rests, the soul travels and the heart remains vulnerable. His Sunnah teaches us that sleep is not a time of negligence, it's a moment of surrender. A believer doesn't just fall asleep, he hands himself over to Allah. From a psychological perspective, this practice has immense wisdom. What we expose ourselves to before sleep shapes our dreams, our emotions, and even our waking mood. Modern science now calls it sleep hygiene, but Islam has been teaching it for over a millennium. You want peaceful rest. Purify your space. Clear your mind of resentment. Disconnect from noise. Sleep with remembrance of Allah. When your final thoughts before sleep are pure, your inner world aligns with divine tranquility. There's a reason why those who make Dhikr before sleeping wake up lighter. They feel calm, focused, and spiritually nourished. But those who sleep surrounded by distractions, clutter, and heedlessness often wake up heavy, anxious, and tired, because the soul never truly rested. So the message is simple: treat your sleep as worship. It's not wasted time, it's a sacred reset for your body and soul. Every night when you lie down, remind yourself, this could be my last sleep. And if it is, make sure you leave this world in remembrance, not in heedlessness. Because how you sleep says a lot about how you live, and how you live often determines how you will return to your Lord. There's a deeper wisdom behind the instruction to keep impurity away from where we sleep. Islam is a religion that doesn't separate the spiritual from the physical. What we touch, what we see, what we smell, all of it affects the heart. The Prophet Muhammad guided us not only in how to worship, but also in how to live in a way that preserves our inner purity. He warned that angels, the bringers of mercy and protection, do not enter a home where there are dogs or images of living beings. Now, that's not merely a restriction, it's a revelation about energy, atmosphere, and spiritual consequence. If angels are repelled by impurity, what happens when our sleeping space is filled with things that offend that sacred presence? Items like alcohol, cigarettes, inappropriate pictures, or symbols of sin carry more than physical impurity, they carry spiritual residue. They darken the environment, they weaken the tranquility of the soul. You may not see it with your eyes, but you feel it in your restlessness, your nightmares, or the heaviness that lingers when you wake up. Islam teaches that everything around us communicates with our spirit. Even inanimate objects have a kind of vibration and effect on the soul's peace. Psychologically, this is profound. Our brains absorb our surroundings. When our bedrooms are filled with reminders of sin, toxicity, or vanity, our subconscious continues to process them throughout the night. The result, spiritual fatigue. Instead of recharging, we wake up spiritually drained. And then we wonder why anxiety, poverty of the heart, or discontent follow us. The Prophet wanted to protect us from exactly that. His home was simple, free of excess, and pure in purpose. Even his sleeping space was minimalist: a mat, a pillow, a heart filled with remembrance. It's not only about avoiding haram items, but also about avoiding anything that brings negative energy. Clutter, for example, has a psychological weight. Broken items, unwashed clothes, or even gadgets that constantly buzz, these create noise in your soul. They keep you mentally awake even when your eyes are closed. Islam encourages balance and serenity. When your room is clean, your thoughts become clearer. When your surroundings are pure, your worship deepens. When you remove impurity, you invite Barakah. So tonight, take a moment to look around your sleeping space. Ask yourself honestly, If the angels were to visit, would they feel welcomed here? Remove anything that could repel their presence, whether it's a physical impurity or a symbol of heedlessness. Replace it with something that reminds you of Allah, a Quran, a prayer mat, or simply the scent of cleanliness. Because the truth is, your environment reflects your inner world. If your surroundings are pure, your thoughts become pure. And when your thoughts are pure, your heart becomes light. Keep impurity away from where you rest, and you'll find that peace begins to rest within you. One of the greatest overlooked truths about our lives is that our external environment often mirrors our internal state. What surrounds us silently shapes how we think, feel, and behave. When your sleeping space is filled with clutter, broken objects, or things that carry emotional heaviness, your mind and soul absorb that energy even when you're not consciously aware of it. Islam, in its wisdom, encourages tans, if cleanliness and nazafa order, not just for beauty or hygiene, but because the way you manage your surroundings reflects your connection with Allah. A person who values peace within will naturally strive to create peace around them. Now think about this. You go to bed every night, surrounded by the remnants of your day, your phone, your clothes, your unfinished thoughts, sometimes even your anger, and yet that same place is meant to be your sanctuary, your small retreat from the chaos of the world. If that space is filled with disorder, can the heart truly find rest there? The Prophet Muhammad lived a life of simplicity and mindfulness. His room was minimal, no excess, no distractions, nothing that cluttered his mind or pulled his focus from remembrance. There is deep wisdom in that simplicity. It's not about being aesthetic, it's about being spiritually efficient. Objects can carry emotional weight. A broken mirror, dusty decor, piles of unnecessary items, they don't just fill your room, they fill your subconscious. Psychologists tell us that clutter overstimulates the brain and raises stress levels. Islam had already taught this concept centuries ago. Simplicity leads to serenity. The less you are distracted by the material, the more space you create for spiritual growth. The Prophet used to say, wealth is not in having many possessions, but in contentment of the soul. That contentment begins when we stop surrounding ourselves with things that serve no purpose but to occupy space and energy. Even negative symbolism affects the atmosphere. Some people keep sharp weapons or dark imagery in their rooms without realizing their impact. Islam discourages such objects in sleeping spaces because they symbolize aggression, fear, and unrest, the very emotions we try to escape when we lie down to rest. Your bedroom should not feel like a battlefield or a storage room. It should feel like a refuge. When you enter, your heart should naturally slow down, your mind should quiet, and your body should sense peace. So before you sleep tonight, ask yourself, does my room invite calmness or chaos? Do I rest surrounded by reminders of the world or by reminders of Allah? The believer's resting place should inspire reflection, not distraction. Make your space light, clean, and purposeful, because when your environment becomes still, your heart follows. Peace doesn't come from having more. It comes from letting go of what no longer serves your soul. Clear your space, and you'll find that you've cleared a path for peace to enter your life. There's a profound link between the unseen world and the physical world, a connection that Islam constantly reminds us of. When we speak about poverty or lack of barakah, we often think of it only in material terms, but Islam teaches that true poverty begins in the heart. It starts when the blessings we have lose their sweetness, when we feel constantly unsatisfied, or when hardship seems to follow us despite our efforts. And sometimes, without realizing it, the cause lies in the very environment we've created, even in the things we keep close to where we sleep. Our sleeping space should be a place of peace, but when it becomes filled with reminders of greed, unresolved debts, or ill-gotten possessions, it silently blocks barakah. You see, Islam isn't just about earning halal income, it's about maintaining halal surroundings. If you keep money near you that hasn't been purified through zakah, or that was obtained through questionable means, it's not just a financial issue, it's a spiritual one. That money carries energy. It can weigh down your soul and strip your environment of tranquility. The Prophet said that wealth gained unjustly is like poison. It destroys the blessings that could have come from it. Sometimes we hold on to objects connected to wrongdoing or paying a gift from a forbidden relationship, or items that represent pride or arrogance. These things become silent barriers between us and divine mercy. Even keeping symbols of worldly obsession, things that constantly remind us of what we don't have, can plant the seeds of envy and ingratitude, and that ingratitude itself invites spiritual poverty. The heart that constantly compares and craves loses its ability to feel blessed. From a psychological perspective, this is deeply logical. When your surroundings constantly whisper materialism, your mind becomes restless. You sleep in a state of want, not peace. You wake up already feeling behind. But when your space reflects humility and contentment, your heart naturally gravitates toward gratitude. Gratitude is the magnet of Barakah. It multiplies what you have, even if it's little. Allah says in the Quran, "If you are grateful, I will surely increase you." Surah Ibrahim 14:7. So take a look around your sleeping area. What energy does it carry? Does it remind you of Allah or of the world's illusions? Do you sleep surrounded by reminders of wealth or by reminders of purpose? Sometimes, letting go of a single object that carries negative intention can open the door to blessings you never imagined. True barakah is not about abundance, it's about peace. A poor man with contentment sleeps better than a rich man haunted by greed, and that peace begins with what you allow to rest near you. Purify your space, purify your wealth, and you'll find that Allah places barakah not only in your home, but in your heart. Because where there is purity, there is prosperity, and where there is barakah, poverty cannot dwell. When we talk about avoiding certain things near where we sleep, we must also talk about what to replace them with, what to keep close instead. Because Islam never leaves us with emptiness. It always replaces prohibition with purpose. The Prophet Muhammad didn't only warn us of harm, he guided us toward habits that fill our nights with light, protection, and peace. You see, a believer's bedtime is not just a physical pause, it's a spiritual renewal. Every night, as the world quiets down, Allah invites you to draw nearer to Him, and if you learn to embrace that moment consciously, your sleep itself becomes an act of worship. One of the most beautiful sunnahs is performing wudu before going to bed. It's as if you're cleansing your soul before meeting your Lord in the realm of dreams. The Prophet said that the one who sleeps in a state of purity is accompanied by an angel who prays for them throughout the night. Imagine that while you sleep, an angel is making dua for you. It's such a simple act, yet so often neglected. This isn't just about ritual purity, it's about psychological cleansing. You wash away not only the dirt of the body, but also the heaviness of the day, the anger, the sadness, the fatigue. You prepare yourself to rest in peace, not restlessness. Then comes the remembrance, the Dhikr. Reciting Ayat al-Kursi, the last verses of Surah al-Baqarah, or Surah al-Ikhlas, al-Falaq, and an-Nas before sleeping are not just routine actions. They are shields. They fortify your soul. They create an invisible barrier that no evil can cross. When you do this consistently, you start to feel the difference. Your mind becomes calmer. Your dreams become lighter. Your heart feels watched over. You begin to understand that protection is not found in locks or alarms, but in remembrance. Even the posture in which the Prophet slept carried wisdom. He would lie on his right side, facing the Qibla, with his right hand under his cheek, a gesture of humility and surrender. Before sleeping, he would say, "O Allah, in your name I live, and in your name I die." These words are a reminder that every night could be your last, and that sleep is a rehearsal for death. If you live with that awareness, your nights become purer, your mornings more grateful. What's profound here is that Islam transforms the ordinary into the sacred. Even something as simple as preparing for bed becomes a pathway to spiritual growth. The goal isn't just to avoid evil, it's to fill your life so abundantly with goodness that evil finds no space to settle. So tonight, before you sleep, take a moment, purify yourself, remember Allah, clear your mind, let your last words, your last thoughts, your last breath before sleep be a conversation with your Creator. Because the way you end your day often determines the way you will end your life. And if you can sleep in remembrance, by Allah's mercy, you will awaken in peace.